Hi there, my name's Dan.
And I'm Suzie, and together
we're Duzie. We're at Green Lake again, walking in the beautiful fall trees.
The trees, the colors. I don't know if you can see those beautiful reds and oranges and greens and can I say red? Red is the color of life.
Color of life. And we just a few minutes ago saw the whole lake was just full in one area of birds.
Right here, it's happening again. Can you catch it?
Let's see if we can catch it.
Yeah. Anyways, today is our contagious multiplication.
Instead of 52 cards, I'm just using one. Now this is one of my favorite tricks, and this is one of my favorite cards. Now let me explain something, and you can do this along with me. You take a card like this, and basically you fold it in half. Now the thing I love about folding the card in half is when you fold it in half, you have two halves, but two halves make a whole. Now let me show that again. If I make a half, two halves make a whole. And both sides, two halves make a whole. Now that's not the only halves you can have. You could have a half that was here, and still two halves make a whole.
And there's one more half here I want to show you. This is sort of like showing off. I wasn't very good at math in school, but these fractions with a card are very easy for me. So you take there, and you take this here, and again, you have two halves, and two halves make a whole. Now,
that doesn't make much sense unless you realize what I'm actually doing is going to make a whole. So right here, I'm going to cut a little rip there, and I'll do the same here. I'll make a little rip here. I've been talking about two halves make a whole. Well, I've just made a hole right there. Now, if you notice that the card is queen down and red up. So Suze, if you don't mind, hold that right there. This is where it gets very, very interesting. I'm not only going to just multiply the card, because when you multiply, things grow, things change. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold this like this. I'll take this, fold it like this, take this, fold it like this, take this, fold it like this, and I'll take this and fold it over like that. Now I keep folding halves and then quarters and then eighths, all that stuff. But if you remember, the red was up, but if you look again, there's a change. The queen is now up. And the fact is that when you're multiplying, things are going to change. But you have to keep opening up and opening up so change happens. Be open for change.
So we asked yesterday for those of you to share the ways that you are contagious. And someone wrote back and said, well, in this season, I noticed there's a lot of strangers, and I'm gonna multiply a smile. So something as simple and effective as joy and a smile can be multiplied out, and it can be contagious and actually spread.
When your purpose to love God, to love your neighbor as yourself becomes the purpose of others, then you've multiplied.
I think of multiplication, I think of doing my poi. So it's kind of a ball and a sock, and I start by just doing one side, and I get a bit of muscle memory, getting my poi to go in the space where I want it to, and then I do the other side. And then I put it together, and I can multiply. Just like the trees behind me, there's two. Two are better than one. So I can multiply the moves that I've learned, and that's what multiplication is. You start with what you have, and you let it grow, and you multiply it out.
Multiplication is, from the very beginning, that was God's idea, that we would multiply, not just have kids, but that we would be a blessing. In Genesis chapter 12, you see that God blesses Abraham, so he'll bless the nations. It is to multiply, it's to be contagious.
I look at this tree and I think of me as my character growing who I am as a contagious being. I love to invest in others. For example, this other tree reminds me of, this one right here, reminds me of my Nikki girl. Now, Nikki was a girl I started investing in when she was 13 years old. And one of the things I wanted to help her do is know herself, but also to know Jesus. So I helped her start the Big Adventure. So this is this four-part way of spending time with God in the Bible, prayer, listening, and reflecting. By the way, if you haven't received our Contagious 30-day Big Adventure, email us, connect@duzie.com. But I got Nikki started in the Big Adventure, and she started doing it every day, and we would celebrate when she would hit milestones. She's over 15 years, probably more than 15 years, doing her time with God. But now she's also, as she is contagious to other people, is investing in them, and her tree or her character spreads out so wide. And I recently heard from her that her daughter also hit a milestone of a year plus spending time every day with God, and I believe many others as well. It's awesome to multiply into other people who multiply into other people. We don't only want to make disciples, but we want to make disciple makers who are contagious, contagious, contagious.
Adventure, I love adventure. When I go back to where this whole spirit of adventure started, I had a youth worker. His name was Bob Sims. Bob Sims used to take us everywhere, out camping and cave exploring and swimming to old wrecks. The interesting thing is his love for adventure has gone on me, and I have been able to let it flow off on others. Matter of fact, just this morning, I realized he's out in Monument National Park. I want to be a person like Bob that's full of adventure and pass it on to others.
Wondering, what do you think? Where is being contagious going to take you? Is it potentially going to take you into waters of unknown, charted territory? Or are you going to stay up on the normal path where everybody is and not be who God created you to be? Go for the contagious. One of my multiplying verses, it's actually a prayer that I love to pray over people, is Romans 15:13, and it says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace." So God multiplies into us joy and peace. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace, so you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. So God pours that into us, hope into us. And once we have that, we overflow with hope, and that's multiplication.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it,
Is to multiply.
multiply.
Will you
That is
take
the
that mission? Your Zoe life, your fully alive, vibrant life,
will grow into other lives.
multiplication.
My name's Dan.
And I'm Suzie, and together we're a Duzie.
Duzie.
Be contagious.
Right now, today, start. Bye.